Good morning, everyone. My name is Jonathan Warren. This is War in America. I had been considering making a commentary show for quite a while. I really wanted to put a lot of thought into it, a lot of planning, but the recent developments have motivated me and inspired me to just go ahead and go for it, because there's no guarantee of the time we have. And I think it's pertinent now to act. Yesterday, Charlie Kirk was murdered in front of everybody, in front of the entire world. Now, obviously, some people agreed with him, some people didn't, but regardless of that, I think everyone can agree that he was someone who was willing to talk to people who he didn't agree with. That was actually his entire movement, really, was just to debate people in public forums, primarily college campuses, the historical place where ideas are formulated and discussed. He saw himself as a proponent of the youth. He himself was not very old. He was 31 years old when he died. I am 31 years old. It really hits home when you see someone who grew up in the same time period, in the same country as you, get taken out in such a brutal way for nothing more than discussing the things he believed in. Debate is often considered an alternative to violence. It is the civil discourse that the country was founded on between the original colonies. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, all came from the fruits of debate and constructive debate. And I believe that was what he really sought to do, was simply discuss ideas in the free marketplace of ideas. I'm not saying that, everything he believed, I believed. In many ways, that's irrelevant. It's more of the fact that this man was attempting to have a dialogue. He was trying to avoid violence. He was trying to avoid civil war, even between competing factions in this country. When it comes to left, right, Republican, Democrat, in many ways he seemed to try to bridge the divides and speak sense to people from the way that, he viewed it, which everyone has a right to do. He would listen to other people, even when oftentimes he did not agree with them. I mean, he mainly talked to people who did not agree with him in order to help the country, really, and avoid the kind of violence we saw yesterday. But they killed him for it. Throughout history, we have these icons of people who were murdered for such things, for trying to reason with the other side. We see so many historical figures who call for nonviolence, who called for open dialogue and instead are murdered by the people who are too cowardly to speak out themselves. We see this with Martin Luther King Jr. We see this with Gandhi. We saw this with Jesus. We saw this with John F. Kennedy. People who were willing to work with the other side in order to find a common shared humanity and prosper together. Charlie Kirk never advocated for the death of others. He never advocated for political violence. He asked questions. He had opinions. Some people liked his opinion, some people didn't. It really doesn't matter, though, to me at this point, whether or not I agreed with him or his politics lined up. It doesn't matter. He was a 31-year-old man, just like me, an American, just like me, except he had put himself out there in ways that so many of us would be terrified to do. He was such a brave person for doing that. He knew the dangers, he knew the risks, but he also knew that, life is not supposed to be a safe, quiet escape from reality. It's supposed to, we all die in the end. We're supposed to pursue truth, pursue justice, and protect our home, protect our people from foreign adversaries, from internal adversaries, from the darkness of man itself. And that's what's so horrible about him being murdered in front of everyone, is because he was trying to avoid that on a large scale and even sacrifice his own life for it. And when people die for something they believe in, it has enormous repercussions. It oftentimes makes a person immortal. He will forever be part of history now. He will forever be a symbol of open dialogue and of diplomacy. His death really weighed heavy on me, and in ways I did not expect from someone who I did not personally know and who oftentimes did not see eye to eye with. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we need to be able to talk. We need to be able to say what we believe and ask certain questions without a risk of dying for it. And unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. But it won't be unless we build that world. So, God willing, that is going to be the result of his sacrifice, is that there's going to be more dialogue, more speech. I really hope this does not turn into a violent spree. But it's hard to say right now what's going to happen next. It could very well be that. It's important to recognize the level of respect that this man had, even among his adversaries. I personally would have loved to debate him one day, even just daydreaming about that kind of thing is exhilarating because of just how prominent and how outspoken he was and how effective he was at spreading his messages and countering arguments that were contrary to his. The gunmen must understand something. They did not kill his spirit. If anything, they strengthened his spirit. They've inspired, motivated myself and many others to speak out now. We're no longer going to be a silent majority. We're no longer going to be quiet and watch as our country falls apart to debt, to foreign interests, and to socialist desires for power. We're not going to watch that happen anymore. So many of us now are going to step up to fill that hole that Charlie Kirk left. And I think they need to understand something, that he was the nice one. He was the one who wanted to talk softly. He was the one who wanted to reach out his hand and shake the other side's hand and work out differences. Now, there's going to be a little more of an aggressive approach, a little more of a firm defense and offense when it comes to messaging. There's a lot less interest in making peace with the other side rather than defeating the other side. They created 1 million more Charlie Kirks, but they did it in a way that's going to create messengers that are not near as polite, not near as decent as he was. And it's going to get ugly. There's no doubt that this is a war. It's a war on information, the info war. It's a war on freedom. It's a war on our future. It's a war on the youth of this country. And we're furious. We are beyond angry when it comes to watching someone like that die so barbarically and so savagely. There was a lot of assassinations, political violence in the 60s that I'm aware of, JFK, Martin Luther, environmental activists blowing things up. There was Vietnam protest, Charles Manson, all of that insanity seems to be making another trip through the society, and the stakes have gotten even higher because the level of technology, the level of threat that we face, the vulnerabilities that we suffer from, our entire lifestyle, our entire way of life is at threat. We've got to speak out. We've got to show our faces. We have to show the other sides that we're not going to be afraid anymore. We're not going to bow our heads and look away. We're going to speak out. We're going to defend ourselves. We're going to protect our birthright, which is this homeland. I was Born into this country, I have no other land. This is my home. I will not let someone else take it. I will not let someone else defile it. These tech billionaires that want to create some kind of technocratic communist society, it's dark. It's very dark, and it completely undermines the entire American way of life. We can't trust Peter Thiel. We can't trust J.D. Vance. That much is clear. I'm not saying go full Fuentes, but that's what's coming. And I hope people understand that we had the nice guy who was willing to talk. It's like in many ways, the conversation's over. We don't want to talk anymore. We're just going to fight for what we believe. We're going to defend what we stand for, which is freedom, justice, liberty, the Bill of Rights, states' rights, individual rights. There's a lot of religious aspects to it in this country. There's a lot of moral issues that we need to work out and fight through. But we cannot do nothing anymore. Action is required. And now is the time for action. That Ukrainian girl who got murdered on the train, that is another example of something that has completely shaken us to our core. We watched that poor girl die senselessly with no one helping her. We don't want to watch these things in our cities, in our country, in our home anymore. We are not willing to die for woke ideology or DEI or sensitivity training. We're not going to risk our lives anymore except to fight for our lives. There's a lot of reporting going on right now. I'll kind of go through some of these updates, some of the recent developments. They still have not caught the man who killed Charlie Kirk, or woman. A lot of people are pointing to the theory that it is a trans shooter. In fact, the things that he was speaking about right before he died pertain to trans shootings, mass shooters. Allegedly, they found a rifle on the roof. Crowder is reporting, and Alex Jones is reporting that there was words and phrases, anti-fascism, this and that, and trans ideology on the weapon. Some people are pointing to Israel, and which I don't know about that one, just because Charlie Kirk was one of the most adamant defenders of Israel, in spite of everything they've been doing. However, lately he was starting to ask questions. He was starting to maybe even turn a little bit on Israel, but it's hard to say whether or not they would have killed him for that when there's much more critical opponents. But maybe they just wanted to make an example out of him. There's a lot of theories going out there right now. The fact that we don't have answers by now is a disgrace. I think Kash Patel has done a terrible job. He has basically bullshit us the entire time he's been in office. He just keeps telling us, oh, there's things going on behind the scenes you can't see. Dan Bongino's saying that too. If you knew what I knew, kind of thing. We're supposed to know what you know. You're supposed to be the most transparent administration in history. This is horrible that they have not been able to find this guy. It seems like there's more investigative skill on the internet than there is in the FBI. It seems like people are analyzing these videos on their own and having more success than the FBI is. Very frustrating. Someone like Charlie Kirk, who really supported the president, should have had a much better response. So hopefully they clean that up, because that has not been ideal or sufficient, to say the least. The only positive I really want to draw from this is perhaps the movement that this will inspire. Not to mention, it has even gotten some emotion out of the left, some human responses from people who you would not maybe even expect that from, and condemnation from people who you would not expect that from. Stephen Colbert, Dean Withers, Democrat lawmakers, Elizabeth Warren. A lot of these people are saying, this is terrible. Now, obviously, they're probably going to blame Trump for it, which is ridiculous. But rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You didn't deserve this. Your family certainly didn't deserve this. I myself am a father of a daughter, and it breaks my heart. It really shakes me to my core to think about his family. I lost my father when I was young. It messes you up. It really does. There's no alternative for a father. And he seemed to be like a really good, ideal father. So I hate this for his family. And I really just feel like this has kind of drawn me to faith more so than I have been lately. And, there's a desire to pray, there's a desire to talk to God about this. I know there's not really a clear answer. I know that he and his message will live on. But it's up to us to really ensure that. And that's why I decided to go ahead and start this commentary show, I guess. It's called War in America, because my name is Jonathan Warren. But it's a play on words. War in America. Because that's what this show is about. We don't think we've seen war here. But it's a cold war, so to speak. It's a slow-moving subversive war of deception. But it's starting to spill out onto the streets. It's starting to become a hot war. And unless we prepare ourselves, we won't win. And that's why it's so important for everyone to step up and fill this hole. We have to show the world, we have to show these killers that we are not afraid of them, and that shooting one of us only makes more of us. It only makes us more effective, more determined, more angry, more energized. It's such a heavy heart that all this is coming from. I hope for the best of this country, but it's not looking good. The direction we're headed does not look good. Trump basically lied about all of his so-called promises. He has escalated multiple military conflicts. He has completely deceived us when it came to balancing the budget, and the whole Doge cuts, they were all fake. He raised the deficit. He has not released the Epstein files, rather has attacked the man who has tried to release them, Thomas Massie, in my opinion, the greatest politician that we have, the second greatest of our lifetime, the first being Ron Paul. True America first. That's what we need. Charlie was true America first. He supported Trump, yes, but he was always asking the right questions, or at least willing to platform these questions. His debate between Josh Hammer and Dave Smith, he really did not show his bias to the extent you would expect from somebody who speaks so strongly about what he believes and his support of Israel. He did not show it. He was a fair and effective moderator. He was a exceptional debater. And I think the fact that he was willing to host ideas that were not his own and even promote them in the name of free discourse shows that he was on the right path. In many ways, this video has turned out to be a tribute to him. I just hope that we don't see more of this. I hope this is the turning point, as people are saying, that enough is enough. No more. You're not going to kill us anymore. My birthday, I was born September 26, 93. Charlie Kirk was born October 14th, 93. So I was born a couple weeks before he was. I will make it to my 32nd birthday, and he will not. His life was shorter than mine has been already, but he has shown that, you can do a lot with a little time. You can change the world in a little time. He has become a a symbol of self-sacrifice. In many ways, there are parallels, in his faith to Jesus even. And I think that's what was important to him. That's what he said was important to him, and I think that's how he would want to be remembered. Someone who was not afraid to stand up for his faith, stand up for his beliefs. And he really cared about the youth. He really spoke passionately about the fact that many of the aspects of American life will not be enjoyed by people under 30, simply because the prices are too high, the inflation is too high, the wages are too low. And the reason why that happened in the first place, he spoke out against foreign wars. He spoke out against reckless spending. He spoke out against protecting the rich and powerful from justice. And they killed him for it. He preached nonviolence, and they killed him for it. He preached civil discourse, bridging gaps with people you don't agree with, and they killed him for it. It's very hard to swallow that and accept that that is possible in this day and age, not to mention watching it. And today is 9/11. Today is a day that is already a heavily weighted day associated with the erosion of our civil liberties and the descent into debt and the large death tolls that seem to impact everyone directly or indirectly. I hope things get better. I really want things to get better, but it looks like the other side has mobilized. It looks like the opposition has prepared itself, and it seems like they're implementing their plan. And I think we must do the same. We must retaliate when it comes to ensuring that they do not kill us in public, in front of everyone. They cannot get away with this. The killer must be made an example of, one way or the other. They got to find out who did it. They got to find out all the motivations, all the connections, if there are any, to foreign intelligence. A lot of people are pointing to Israel. Personally, I think it's more likely that it's Ukraine. Seems to be their way of doing things. They love to, assassinate, but it could have been Israel, could have been a random nut. One thing that seems to be consistent is that everyone seems to agree that it was done by some form of professional, that it was masterly executed. The shot was accurate, and it was one shot. And the fact that there were so many distractions going on, there was some guy yelling, "Shoot me." There was some guy yelling, "I have the right to remain silent." There was another guy allegedly with a BB gun. This seems orchestrated. It does not seem coincidental. I just really have been dwelling on the symbolic nature of this public execution and what this means for anybody who dares speak out in public about their beliefs, whether you're on the left or right, whether you're a Muslim or Jew or Christian. I do not believe you should be shot simply for saying the things you believe. And the people who do believe that, they're cowards. They're afraid of truth. They're afraid to engage in debate. They're afraid that their ideas are not as strong and as right as they would think to themselves. I just hope that we can save our country from spiraling into a murderous, dangerous place to live. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Thank you for giving your life for America. That is a warrior's death. And, you will always be remembered. You will always be honored. I'm going to check latest updates one more time before I sign off to see if there's anything to add. The updates in the commentary. I'm not seeing any. There was a press conference with the FBI this morning, and I think they just kind of stated that they found a gun. They had a video of the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator, running through a neighborhood after the fact, close to the campus. This is all the kinds of things they're saying right now, but until they have the guy, until they can answer affiliations and motivations, a lot of this is speculation, and I don't think that's very constructive. Utah, it just is unbelievable. Utah is, you don't hear stuff happening like that in Utah. The whole, people relishing the fact that he got killed, disgusting. I actually had to, I called somebody a bitch for posting about, him being pro-Second Amendment. Basically insinuating he deserved it because he thought, Americans should have a right to defend themselves. I don't want to associate with these people anymore. I've been quiet and held my tongue for quite some time. I've always had some strong opinions. Over time, you just get tired of arguing with everyone and you shut up. But we should not shut up anymore. We should speak our minds and fight for what we believe in. And that is really the message that I'm trying to convey right now. No more silence. No more being passive and watching as these things happen around us. No, we've got to assert ourselves, stand up for ourselves, and defend ourselves. Or we won't have a country. This is War in America. I'm Jonathan Warren, reminding you, keep fighting, stay free.